Okay, so now let's solve the channel selection problem. As we mentioned, the two manufacturers are really want to set their channel structures. Okay, so we somehow say this is the real problem they want to solve. In the channel structure game, there are two players. They make decisions simultaneously, and then each of them has two options or two actions to choose: integration with a company store or decentralization with a franchise store. And then we have the payoff matrix or the game matrix because we have solved the 4 pricing games. Okay, so we may collect everything we need to create this 2x2 matrix. I have manufacturer 1, manufacturer 2, ID, ID. Okay, I can input those equilibrium profits into these 2x2 entries. Now, we are looking at pure strategy Nash equilibrium. You probably want to ask, do we care about mixed strategy or randomized Nash equilibria in this example? Probably no, because the manufacturers just need to make decisions, right? Today, he needs to decide whether to open a company store or let some guy to run the store as a franchise store. This has nothing to be randomized. Okay, somehow it must make a decision. It cannot say, I don't know, tomorrow when I wake up, I will throw a dice and randomly make a decision. That's not going to be the way people really make decisions. Okay, so that's why we don't really care about randomized decisions in general cases. We want to solve for pure strategy Nash equilibria. So, with theta, things are not easy to do a direct comparison, but we may want to look at the two polar cases when theta is 0 or when theta is 1. Technically, in this model, we assume theta should be less than 1, but as you can see, it doesn't really matter in this case. So you may also treat this as just a limiting case. It doesn't really matter. For this case, when theta is 0, you can see that as manufacturer 1, okay, I think about the following. How about is II an equilibrium? Yes, because if we are at II, then no one has incentive to move. Okay, so II is good. For ID, it's not the case, right? Because if I am doing ID, as manufacturer 2, I have the incentive to move. Similarly, if it is DD, retailer 2 has an incentive to move, and so on and so on. And after some investigations, you can see, as manufacturer 2, they don't really care about what's happening to manufacturer 1. Because when theta is 0, this is just two separated channels. Okay, so when this is an isolated channel, the manufacturer will always want integration. So that's why in equilibrium we will only see II. However, when theta is 1, things are somewhat different. First, we can see here II is still an equilibrium. Okay, if they are earning 1 currently, no one has the incentive to unilaterally deviate to D because that's going to give him only 3 over 4. Okay, so II is an equilibrium, but DD is also an equilibrium, and it is quite good, right? In this case, it is quite good. For example, for manufacturer 1, manufacturer can earn 3 under DD, and then 3 is greater than 9 over 4. So that's why manufacturer 1 would prefer DD than ID. And then DD is also an equilibrium. Okay, so for the two polar cases, we can see this. But what's more important is that we know all those payoff functions are continuous in theta. Okay, they are continuous functions of theta. So that means if theta is very close to 1, then we have this. we know DD must be an equilibrium, because when theta is close to 1 enough, situation will just be similar. The change of numbers will just be limited. Okay, so we can expect there is at least an interval of theta close to 1 in which DD is an equilibrium. So let's complete the analysis. Eventually, all we need is a figure like this. Okay, for theta between 0 and 1, we can depict those functions. For example, for II is from here to here. When theta goes up, these two products becomes more similar. The aggregate demand becomes larger, and the profit can go up. Pi II is the situation, is the profit of a single manufacturer when they choose integration and integration. We can see several things. First, II is greater than DI. DI is the case. DI is the decentralized manufacturer's profit when the other guy choose integration. Okay? ID is the integrated manufacturer's profit when the other guy chooses decentralization. Let's compare II and DI first. Because II is greater than DI, always. So DI is never an equilibrium, and II is always an equilibrium. Because if they are choosing II, no one will want to become DI. Okay? No one, manufacturer 1 does not prefer DI. Manufacturer 2 does not prefer ID. Okay? No one wants to become the single guy who is doing decentralization. So II is always an equilibrium. II is always an equilibrium. There is one number which is a cutoff here. Okay, around 0.931. When theta is lower than this number, we can see pi ID is greater than pi DD. Okay, what does that mean? If pi ID is greater than pi DD, then pi DD and then DD is not an equilibrium, because if they are choosing DD as the manufacturer 1, I have the incentive to become the one, the single one that is doing integration. Okay, so under this threshold 0.931, DD is not an equilibrium and II is the only equilibrium. But if theta is higher than that, then DD is greater than II. So in this case, there will be two equilibria, II and DD. Okay. Finally, there is a very interesting thing here. If we look at this cutoff, which is around 0.708, we can see that pi DD is greater than pi II. Okay, pi DD is greater than pi II, but II is the only equilibrium. What does that mean? In this interval, these two manufacturers, they know if it is possible, they should do DD. Okay, if it is possible, they should do DD. However, because they are rational, because they are selfish, because they cannot coordinate or cooperate, they will choose II, each one. And then that's a prisoner's dilemma. If they can collaborate, they should choose DD. Unfortunately, they cannot, so they are choosing II. So within this range, we say they are in a prisoner's dilemma. But if theta is too low or too high, then it's not the case. Okay, so here, let me make a very brief conclusion. When theta is high enough, okay, then DD is an equilibrium. That means DD is possible. DD is a possible outcome. So the insight here, the first insight here we get is if the two products are similar enough, or if the competition is so intense, then decentralization is possible. decentralization may outperform centralization. Okay, so this is basically the most important insight that the two authors want to deliver to us in this paper. When competition is highly intensive, manufacturer may want to choose franchise. Manufacturer may want to choose decentralization. Before you look at the next video in which I discuss this insight, please stop here for a while and think about the thing I just mentioned to you. I am saying, or they are saying, when the competition is very intensive, the manufacturers may be better off to choose decentralization. When the competition is very intensive, in equilibrium, they may choose decentralization. Try to explain to yourself why this is the case, why the degree of competition will choose, or why the degree of competition may affect the channel structure. Okay, try to give you some explanations, or try to think about this intuitively. After you make some thinking, after you think for a while, look at the last video. There I will discuss my understanding of this phenomenon or this claim, and then we can see whether this is true or not. Thank you.